Hey, we've got Camille from Novelist. Super excited to chat with you, Camille. You kind of got an interesting history, both novelist and then your kind of personal history with Novelist is really interesting. But you guys got a new album coming out soon. I'm sure you're just like jam-packed with lots of things going on with Novelist. But before we dive into all the Novelist stuff, how are you doing today?
Really good. I'm actually at my laboratory working and also doing
Ooh.
interviews, and yeah, I'm doing fine. It's really cool.
What? Yeah, like what do you do there? What's your role?
So I'm a chemist engineer, and I create my
Wow.
own cosmetics laboratory. And to be honest, I'm like trying
Whoa.
to finish all my contracts with my clients because I cannot handle
Okay.
a double life. Like I feel like I'm
Yeah.
Hannah Montana having a double life, and I have
Yeah.
to quit a life.
I love that. I can't imagine that there's too many chemistry engineers that are in like the metal scene. Like that I mean maybe you've encountered more than I have, but I can't imagine there's too many.
I don't know another chemist engineer, to be honest.
That's awesome. That's super cool that you do that work as well. Well, let's talk about your music side of your life. Obviously, there's clearly a chemistry side of your life, but love to talk about your music side of your life. So, yeah, before we dive into like how you got involved with novelists and just kind of your history with them, yeah, how did you get into music? Like, what inspired you to get into music?
So I come from a Spanish family, and music is really
Okay.
important for us, especially like flamenco music and with guitars and like drums and stuff like that. So since I'm a little girl, I danced and I play with my brothers, cousins, dad, mom, and I played piano and violoncello after that. I learned
Hmm.
music theory also, and I always sing like since I remember. And but I wasn't in a metal scene before, and I went to a hardcore punk show, and that was like the a crush.
Right.
And then I decided to create punk hardcore, and I started to listen to the like heavy musics, and I discovered after I don't know 5 years of listening to punk hardcore, I discovered metal music. And
Wow.
yeah, I created like a punk hardcore band before, and after that, 10 years after, I joined Novelist.
That's amazing. Like, what a career. Already. Yeah. What was it about punk and hardcore and metal music that just like made you fall in love with it? Because obviously, like that's way different music than like probably what you were listening to when you were really young. So, like, what was it about punk and hardcore and metal that just was like, this is what I want to be involved in?
I really love the at first I really love the ambience during the shows, like people
Mm,
going wild. You cannot see that in a mainstream show, or like
yeah.
pop music. You can see that now, nowadays a little bit more than before, but people are just watching and not moving at all. But in a punk hardcore show, they are really giving their lives to the show.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
And also I really like the strategy movement. So I started to get more interest in punk hardcore, and I was doing a lot of classical music and classical shows, and also pop shows. And I was always a little bit scared of going on stage because there was too much pressure. And when I did my first screaming show, like hardcore show, I was really stressed before, and the first step I made on stage and the first scream I did, all the stress was, gone, and I just
Mm.
enjoyed it, and I was like, okay, now this is really what I want to do now, and yeah, I think it's the energy, the vibe, and the freedom. Also, a little bit cheesy to say that, but
Yeah, I love that. How did you learn how to scream? Because like typically people just like don't learn how to scream like naturally. So how did you learn how to scream well?
I'm a self-made screamer. I started in my car in the highway, windows closed, and I tried to scream. A little. I started to like imitate the bands that I was listening to, and I tried to scream. And I was looking that no one was looking at me because I didn't want to be weird or scary to people, and I tried to find the scream that didn't hurt my voice because I wanted to still be able to sing in clean vocals. So yeah, basically I just learned by myself, and now that I joined Novelist, I watched like, YouTube tutorials and stuff to warm up the voice and try to find different and understand how the scream is working.
Hmm.
That's it.
At what point did you realize you're like, I'm good at this? Like, when you first start out doing something, right? Like you realize like I've got a lot to learn and everything. But at some point you must have learned, and maybe it was pretty early on, but at some point you must have gotten to a point where you're like, wait, like I could do this in front of a lot of people and people would enjoy it. Like you must have learned that at some point that you were good enough for that, right?
For the scream, to be honest, I watched, I think the first show I did, it was in a rehearsal local, like, the place we were rehearsing. And when I watched this video, I feel so ashamed because it was really bad. And I was confident that it was good, but it was not. So I think it's more like be confident of what you do, even if it's bad, and people would think it's cool. And I think, I don't know, it's just yeah, I improve a lot my screaming level. Even though when I joined Novelist, my screams were not that good as they are now. So I think everyone can improve more and more.
Yeah, I'm sure there's like so many things you can do to just like practice and get better. And yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize like along with singing, right? Like there's all sorts of singing coaches and you learn how to sing well. The same thing goes with screaming. There might be less of those people that are like helping you kind of learn how to scream well, but certainly there is like a practice to screaming well. Not everybody is just born with being able to scream amazingly.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I scream amazingly, but but yeah, I think, sometimes when I'm in the studio and I'm screaming, like recording, and I feel that this scream, this line that I just did, is really good because you can feel it is like emotions. I think when you're screaming, you can feel. This is what I really like in hardcore and post hardcore, like bands like Have Heart or La Dispute. Also, it's
Hmm.
another style. I really like the you can feel the emotions really hard, because if you're just singing clean vocal, even if you are singing things, but you're singing it with vibes and stuff, you cannot feel the emotion. But when you're screaming, you cannot lie. Like, it's really, like, you can feel that the dude from Have Heart, he's feeling pain. You can
Hmm.
feel it.
Hmm.
So I think that's the most important to be a good screamer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, without a doubt, like, I think for me, like my favorites, both singers and screamers, my favorites have always been the ones where you can just see, like, or you can just hear the emotion
Yeah.
in their scream or their singing. And even if they're that most, like, the most technically sound singers or screamers, even if they're not the most technically sound, I like it, as long as it's like you can feel that emotion in their voice, that's all that matters to me.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah, like I mean there's people like did you I mean you mentioned Law Dispute. Did you ever get into Me Without You at all?
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
D So you mentioned that you were you're into Law Dispute. Did you ever listen to another band called Me Without You?
Oh no, I don't know this band.
Okay. They're very similar to Law Dispute. But
Okay.
like it's that and that's kind of same like voice where it's like half singing, half yelling, half
Yeah.
kind of spoken word like
Oh, what's the
but like
name
Me
again? I'm
Without
gonna
You's
listen to it.
Me Without You, all one word. It's all
Okay.
one word.
Me
Me
Without
Without
You.
You. It's
Okay, I will
great.
listen to
You if
that.
you like Law Dispute, you'll love
Yeah.
Me Without You.
Yeah. I like the way you're
But it's the
saying La
same.
Dispute, because it's a French word and you're saying with English accent. That's
I
funny.
well, yeah, like it's like aggressively American is how I say
Yeah.
it.
American
I
accent,
get
sorry.
that for sure. Yeah, well, but it's like funny how like yeah, like for a band like La Dispute or like Me Without You, where their vocalist might not be the most like technical in
Yeah.
his vocal delivery, but again, it's just all about the emotions of what he's singing about, and that's like what matters the most. And I think that's what people gravitate towards, and that's like why people really love that music, is you just hear the emotion of it even if it's not super technical.
Yeah, and I don't know the band Me Without You, but I know La Dispute, and you think that he doesn't have a lot of technique, but I think that he has a lot of technique to be able to do that. Because to be honest, when I started to learn screaming, I tried to imitate also his yelling, like almost crying screams, and I was not able to do that. Like it's really hard to do this kind of scream and to control it and not hurt your
Mm,
voice. So yeah, I hope one day I be able to speak with him and ask him, how do you do? What's your technique?
yeah. Yeah, there's like some people where, yeah, their ability to just like control that scream. There's also another, like, I don't know if you ever listened to a band from Sweden called Blindside.
No.
Is that a, they're that's another band to write down. They're from Sweden, but their screamer has this like, I don't know if I've really ever heard like another screamer quite be able to do this, but like in the same note, when he like maybe first starts the note screaming, he then can go into singing or vice versa.
Wow.
Like his ability with his voice to do that, like I think honestly the only other person I've heard maybe be able to do that is Chester Bennington from Linkin Park.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
But
What's the
that
name again?
ability to like,
Blind, you say?
Blindside is the name.
Side, blind. Okay.
It's all one word. Blindside, all one word.
Okay.
Yeah, they're from Sweden. They're
Okay.
great.
Okay, I will listen to it also.
Yeah, they're wonderful. So yeah, well, okay, we've talked a lot about the singing part. I'd love to hear just the story of how you got involved with Novelists, because what's interesting about Novelists is they've already had two singers in the band, and so you're the third singer in the band. And so, yeah, what's the whole backstory to how you got involved with the band?
So, the whole story is that landmarks, of course. So, when I was 18, I was doing a summer job in like a grocery store, and a client asked me to do an invoice, and it was my first day, and I didn't know how to do. So, I just asked the person behind me. I turned around, and it was the drummer, Kevin, and we started to hang out with friends, and he was studying in a sound and visual school, and they needed someone that was playing violoncello to do like a photo exercise. So he told me, yeah, do you want to come to my school, and I will take picture of you? And I was like, okay, let's do this. So I went to the school, and the dude, it's a long story. And the dude who was doing the clap for me, he was playing in a hardcore band in Marseille, south of France. This is where I came from. And he told me, hey, do you want to come to a show and see? And that was the first show I went. The first hardcore show. It was like in a basement in Marseille. Maybe there were like 20 people at the show. And it was really cool. And after I started to hang out with the scene, like there was also Flo, the singer of Landmarks, and we all had bands, hardcore bands. My band was named Apache. His previous band was Hate in Front, and we were like playing shows together. And after 10 years, they started Landmarks. I did a duet with Nico, the guitarist from Landmarks. We were like the band was called Bliss Side, and it was like only clean singing, like ballads in pop English ballads. And in 2019, Novelists, they were friends with Landmarks already, and they were looking for a girl to do the harmonies of their album C'est la vie. So they asked Landmarks, hey, do you know a girl that can sing the harmonies? And they were like, yeah, we know Camille. So I went to Paris to record all the harmonies of their album. And at the end of the session, they were like, hey, do you want to do a feature on the song C'est la vie? And I was like, yeah, why not? And so I did the feature. Then I went back to Marseille, and so 20, no, 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 3 years after, they were in Marseille, and they asked me, hey, do you want to be the new singer of Novelist? And I was like, what? I don't even knew that they will not have a singer anymore. So I was like, yeah, of course, yeah, why not? So we did some recording audition, to see if it can work, see if our creativity will match. and it was really cool. So we decided to go to the new into the new chapter of Novelist, and here I am. That's a long story.
That's like it's kind of amazing how like it's one of those things where it's just like the people you know, and like that's how opportunities happen in life.
Yeah,
It's not about, I mean, obviously to some degree, right? Like you're extremely talented, and that plays a huge part of this. But like some of these really cool opportunities that we get in life are maybe a little less about like your talent and just about like who you know in life.
yeah.
And this is like a classic story of that, it seems like.
Do you call it also in English a butterfly effect?
Yeah, something along those lines. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like there is a small thing that happens
Right,
20,
right.
yeah,
Yeah, like a small thing that like, yeah, totally changes the like outcome of a bigger thing in
exactly,
life.
yeah. I really
Yeah,
feel
and
it.
it
When I'm
yeah,
telling this story, I'm like, wow, if this client didn't ask me for an invoice and I didn't know how to do it, and I asked Kevin from Landmarks, and then like it's a lot of events that happen, and to be here now, that's amazing. And there is a lot of opportunities, of course.
right. That's so cool. Yeah, what has like that creativity process been like for you guys? Like, obviously this isn't the first time that they're exploring a new sound and writing with a new vocalist. But yeah, what do you like about the writing process and the creativity process with novelists?
For me, it's like being in a laboratory, like we are experiencing a lot of different things, even though sometimes it's a little bit weird, but we are open to like putting a lot of ideas, even though they are not good. So we can find one that it's really good, and we are really trying to be different, even though everyone is trying to be different, but we try to shock people. We try to do something different that we did before. And if it sounds or looks like something we already did before, we just put it in the trash and we try something new. And since Pierre joined the band, he's also really creative, and he creates a lot of instrumental part. And then I go to the studio, and I'm trying, and I'm improvising in the studio to try and find some lines, like singing or screaming lines. And sometimes it's really like, my brain is gonna be in fire, and I'm just trying really like different notes, even though they are not linked to each other, to find a good melody. And or we try ideas. We put violoncello in one hour song, Morning the Dawn. So yeah, we try a lot of stuff, and for this album we are really proud of it, but we are already thinking of the next one, and we want to be more
Oh,
creative than we did on this one.
I love that. What has it been like for you to like be involved in the creative process with songwriting, especially because I would imagine like it can maybe feel a little overwhelming to like be the brand new person in the band and feel like you are then able to like have any input. But like, have they been very open to like you bringing your own ideas? Like, have you felt like very much involved in the songwriting and creativity process, or is it something where you're kind of like still maybe getting into that groove of like trying to add your input or your ideas?
So at they were always really open to my opinions, and they wanted me to to tell to say all my opinions. And at the very beginning, when I joined the band, the first song we did was Turn It Up, and it was already written. So I just went on the studio, and we record the chorus, and I proposed a new line. And in fact, it's now the real line of the chorus, and the previous one is the harmony. We put it in a harmony. So they were listening to my opinions, but they were like, I was trying to be, low key. I didn't want to impose my opinions because I was just, the new member. And for this album, I feel that now I have more power, to propose, because we started from scratch this album. So there was like, it's a new page. And so did you listen to the album or not yet?
I haven't been able to listen to the whole thing, but I've been able to listen to some of the songs that have been released.
Okay, so there is a song called Maldición de la Bruja. It's a song in Spanish. And this one, when I proposed it, I know that the boys were not really like into it. They were like, okay, that's a little bit strange. And I think like 1 or 2 days after, they're like, okay, we're gonna do this because this is really cool. It's really different from what we did before, and we really want to go into this way. So I think I felt at this moment that there was a switch where I can be really free to propose whatever I want, while before I was still a little bit shy to propose my ideas.
Yeah, I love that. Like, and hopefully, as like you continue to be in the band, you'll be able to include more and more of those ideas. I mean, you already mentioned like you all are writing like a new album already, so I would imagine like you're feeling more and more comfortable with some of the new ideas and input you have for even like whatever the next record would be.
Yeah, 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 totally. I feel I'm really excited for the next one. This summer, we're gonna do a lot of festivals, and there is like one festival weekend, and the next weekend there is another one, and we have a week. But the two festivals are, really close. So we decided to book a house near the festival so we can start to create new songs. So yeah, the process of creation for the next album has already started. Even though the album is not out yet, we still want to create new songs.
It's going all out. It's like a full sprint right now.
Yeah, 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 exactly.
I love that. I love that. What is it like for you? I'm always curious about this with bands that where like English isn't their first language, maybe, or like maybe they like at least it wasn't their first language growing up. What is it like for you to write lyrics in English? What does that process look like? Is it a lot of like looking up in the dictionary or a
Exactly.
thesaurus or something and like making sure like your grammar's right? Like I'm just always curious like when if English isn't your first language, what is it like to then write basically poetry? I mean that's what lyrics are. What is it like then to write poetry in English?
It feels like it's homeworks. you know it's really hard. Luckily we have Nico, the bassist. He's fluent in English, so he's always checking that the grammar is correct and that everything is understandable or pretty and poetic. It was hard for me to write in English because novelists, the touch of novelist is to have a really how to say, like, smart lyrics. Like you cannot just write random lyrics or cheesy lyrics. Like they really want to go deeper in the meaning and in the poetry. So it was hard for me. It was a hard exercise. So that's why I cheated a little bit and I wrote some verse in French and a song in Spanish because I speak fluently French and Spanish. And yeah, it was hard work, but as writing vocal lines and screaming lines, so it's work.
Is it sometimes where when you're like writing those lyrics, are like you maybe originally writing them in Spanish or in French and then maybe translating them?
I try not to do that because it's
Okay,
it's total it's a total different way of speaking. English and,
right,
and French. French and Spanish are closer than English and French. If
right,
I of course did that mistake to write lyrics in French and then translate. It's so hard. You have to change because there is not only the meaning of the lyrics but also the shape of the words and
right.
the rhyme. So
Yep,
so
yep.
yeah, it's and the rhythm. So it's different. I don't know. I don't know how I'm gonna do for the next album, but yeah, I'm improving every time. I'm improving more than the time before. So I see.
Well, I love them. I think like again, it's one of those things where like as you're listening to these new songs, like it's not the first thing would have come to my mind is like that English isn't your first language. Like it's like very impressive like what your lyrics in English are. I mean, it's just I was very impressed. And
Thank
so
you.
it was not obvious to me at all that like English wouldn't be your first language or even like a language that you might not feel exactly the most like comfortable or fluent in.
Cool. Thank you. Appreciate that. Phew.
Yeah, you're doing great. You're doing great. Another thing that I'm curious about, and again, this is kind of what makes Novelist, I think, unique in terms of its history, is like we mentioned before, like the band started out with two different vocalists. So I'm forgetting the names right now of the former vocalists. I think it
Matteo
was
and
Charles.
yes.
yeah, Charles Henry was like the first, I think, vocalist, or sorry, not
The
yeah, Matteo
guitarist.
was the first vocalist.
Yeah, yeah. Matteo
Yeah,
was the first. Yeah.
yeah, so like you have Matteo, who obviously is a man, and then like Tobias, who is a man, and like I've definitely like interviewed lots of bands and have gotten to know and love lots of bands that have like a vocalist change, but rarely is the vocalist change like a change in gender.
Yeah.
And so I'm really curious, like, is that something that you've thought through? Like, like if you have, like, what has that like? How does that feel? Like, I'm just really curious because, yeah, like a lot of times, like if you see a band changing its vocalist, they try to like get a vocalist that might have like the same exact kind of voice as their previous vocalist or something, or maybe has a similar like kind of style as a previous vocalist. But obviously, to some degree, like that's just not going to be exactly the case with just like your voice and stuff versus like Mateo's or some of the other guys. So I'm just curious, like, is that something that you've thought through? Like that, I don't know. I just find that really interesting, and I think that's really cool, like a cool part of novelists.
Yeah, totally. So when I joined the band, it was in like I think April or May 23, and so I was not official in the band. And during the whole summer, while we were writing the "Turn It Up," the first song,
Hmm.
the boys were like preparing me to the haters. They were like, "Okay, you're gonna have haters because we already did one singer change and the previous one
Right,
had haters." And you know what, I totally agree with that. Like when you love a band, you love the singer and they are switching, I totally agree that you feel disappointed or sad or angry maybe. But in the end, for me it was like the best opportunity, so I'm not
right,
gonna say sorry. And
right.
when we released
And it's
the
like a cool way to see like how the band changes and grows, right? Like when you add like a new vocalist, right? Like
yeah, yeah,
novelists will be different because you're in the band and you have a different style than the previous singers. And I think that's like a really cool opportunity for the band and for the listeners, the fans of the band.
yeah, totally. And of course, when we released the first song, there was a lot of haters, and but I was prepared, so I was like, okay, I don't take it personally. It's like it's okay. And they were like the boys told me like I think a month ago that I didn't have more haters than the previous singer. Like it was the same amount. Like the fact that I'm a girl didn't add more haters. The only thing is that the comments were different because they were more like, "Oh, it's a female. We don't like females screaming in metal or stuff like that." Why? And of course, the previous singer didn't have that kind of comments, but
Right,
he had a
right.
lot of haters. And when we released the first song, "Coda" of the new album, I think it was almost no haters. Like maybe
Right.
1%. And I think it took four songs to for people to understand, and a lot of shows because we toured the world last year. We went to the
Hmm.
US, to Australia, Asia, Europe, and I think people went to shows and they saw us live and they were happy with the fact that I'm the new singer. They liked the energy, and there was a lot of people that came at the end of the show at the merch stand while I was there, and they were telling me like, "I'm so happy that you there." There was some boys that told me, "I was septic when you joined the band, like I was not happy, but I went to see you live, and okay, I'm convinced, and I will come back and I will listen to your new songs." So it was not that hard for me, like there was a lot of haters, but I just didn't take it personally.
Yeah, I get that. Well, I think it's a great like attitude to have with all of that, and like knowing that, yeah, there's gonna be dedicated fans that are gonna be disappointed, like they've grown accustomed to a certain sound or whatever, and obviously your voice is gonna be a little different. But I love the direction that you all are going. Like I just
Thank
think
you.
like you're an amazing addition to the band, and I just really, I'm just like really impressed by the direction you all are you're going. So yeah, I'm really stoked. So.
Thank you.
Well, last couple questions here. Let's go into your top five most influential albums. So let's talk about some of those albums that have maybe shaped you as a musician or as a person.
Okay, so for the screaming part, I will say "Songs to Scream at the Sun" from Have Heart.
Oh, such a good,
Yeah,
great
I think
album.
I know every word, every drum beat of the whole
Yep,
album. Of course, I will say "Misery Business" from Paramore.
of course. You've got to. You've got to.
Yeah.
I mean, her voice still like just stands apart. It's she. You don't real like. I don't think I really appreciated how great her voice is when like the band first started. But now I'm realizing how unbelievable
Yeah.
Haley's voice is.
She's so talented, and even in live, like she sings so well. I think she's the best
So
performer for
good,
me ever.
so good, so
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
That's a great pick. Great pick.
So
So that's
two.
two.
The third one, I think it's a really recent one, and it hits me for the creativity and the weirdness. It's Motomami from La Rosalia. She's a Spanish
Okay.
singer, and
Okay.
if you listen to the album, at the first listen, I was like, what's that? Like she's using sound of a moto in a song, and it's not even in
Oh.
rhythm, and it's really disturbing. That's the word. It's disturbing, and
Huh.
it's been, I think, 30 times that I listened to the album, and now I'm like, yeah, that this is sound like you used to it, and that's really cool. And I'm trying to be as disturbing as she is.
I love that. That's cool. When did that album get released? Do
I
you know?
think it
Genuine.
was three years ago.
Okay, so it's pretty new.
Yeah, it's pretty new. So
That's
it's
cool. Okay.
three, four. I would say again, Hard Times, Paramore.
Oh,
Also, I really
two
know.
Paramours. I love this.
Yeah, it's a good inspiration. And what's the fifth one?
By the way, have you met Haley before?
Never.
You need to make that happen. You
Ah,
need to
yeah,
make
yeah,
that
yeah.
happen.
That's one of my bucket list of my life.
Yep, yep, exactly.
And the
That's
last
awesome.
one, I'm really bad at. There is so many albums. It's too hard to choose. Now there is the "Hit Me Hard and Soft" of Billie Eilish.
Oh, yeah.
And this one is also I listen to it so many times. I think it's when I will have my Spotify rap is gonna be on my top for sure.
Yeah, yeah. That's awesome. That's cool. That's a great list. I love the like just like yeah, you get Billie Eilish in there, couple Paramours, and then even Have Heart. Like you got to throw a Have a Heart in there. So that's a great list.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan. Since you all, well, I know you're not originally from France, but the rest of the band I think is mostly from France. Are you guys familiar at all with Birds in Row?
I don't know them. Well, I know the band, of
Okay,
course, but I don't know them
right.
personally. But I'm from France. I'm half.
Oh,
I
you
have
are. Okay, I
Spanish
thought you said
family,
you were
but
from
I'm
Spain.
totally French. I was born in France, and
Oh, you are. Okay.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah,
okay. Cool. I like Birds and Row is like one of my favorite bands. They very rarely tour in the US.
yeah.
They're almost always touring in Europe, but I know they're from France. I don't know if they're from Paris or not, but yeah, I think Birds and Row, like seriously, they're like probably a top 10 favorite band of all time for me. I
Yeah,
love
yeah,
them.
yeah. I totally agree with
They're
that.
incredible. Yeah, they're great. Yeah, they're like yeah, since you're like kind of a Have Heart fan, they've got like, those hardcore vibes, but they've kind of got this cool like indie sound. They're
Yeah, yeah.
unbelievable. That's awesome. Cool. Well, Camille, what do you want to plug? Obviously, the new album I think is coming out in like 20 days now.
I don't know
Something like
exactly,
that,
but yeah,
right?
the 16th of May. I don't know how many
Yeah,
days.
so yeah, it's coming up at least from the time of the recording. It's coming out in like 20 days. Yeah, so what do you want to plug?
So the plug, the thing we said before, right? Because I'm not sure I didn't.
Do like a real one first. So yeah, like the album or like if you guys
Okay,
got like
okay.
shows or whatever. Yeah, do like a
Uh,
real one first.
we're gonna tour again the US, the Europe, and Asia. Started from September to promote the album and to show the world this album. And I hope that you guys be there to watch it and to listen to it.
Love it. Can't wait. Can't wait. Love it. Well, I'm excited for it. Camille, anything else you'd like to plug?
As you know, I'm a chemist engineer, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing cosmetics projects, and I create a syrup that can make everyone scream really well. So I'm gonna sell
Oh.
these syrups really soon on my Instagram account. So stay tuned, and I really hope you're gonna buy some.
What are you gonna call it?
I'm gonna call it.
You haven't come up with a name yet?
No, not yet. But there is another thing. I'm gonna do a lip and a lipstick, and we're gonna call it Novelips. That's the joke we made.
Oh
That's
my
it.
goodness, that is
Yeah,
that's gonna like that's you're selling that on the tour, right? Like that has to be sold soon.
yeah. We're gonna try it. We're gonna try to make it.
I mean, I don't know if I've ever worn lipstick, but I would wear Novel Lips lipstick without a doubt.
Thank you. Thank you very
I'm
much.
all about that. I love that. I love that. That's a you know, I wish more bands were more creative with like their names and then like the merch that they create. Like we just need more of that kind of fun creativity.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
I love it. I love it. Well, Camille, thank you so much for chatting more about the new album and just Novelists and your history with the band. Again, I'm super stoked with this new album. This is just going to be really like, this might be an album that I've got in my top albums at the end of the year. I'm just really excited for
Thank
it. So
you.
thanks
Thank
so
you so
much for
much.
chatting more about it.
Thank you so much, and I really hope you like it. And yeah, that's it. We put our hearts in this album, so I hope guys you like it.